Hey, what's up guys? Matt here with Fix Anything Save Money. Today we are going to be replacing this electric water heater. So this is in my own house. I just came downstairs to do some laundry in the basement and noticed water all over the floor. So we'll show you where it's leaking from. You can see I have a towel down here. It's leaking right from this seal right here. And I've had other issues with this water heater since we bought the house. The one day water was just spewing out of the overflow, and I realized at the time that we had really high water pressure, and we're on city water, and the water pressure regulator that's in our house ended up being bad and it wasn't regulating the water pressure correctly. So I had to replace that to get the water pressure under control, because the water pressure was at like 140 psi when it should be around like 60 to 80. So I don't know if that caused some damage to this prematurely, or if it's just, a faulty unit or whatever. But I wanted to make this little intro before I go pick up the hot water heater. So anyone that's doing this at home, just follow along. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. I'm going to put links on where you can pick up all the tools that you see in this video. And then, so pretty much what I'm doing right now is I just came downstairs. I measured the length of this water heater, which was 59 inches, and then I measured the diameter of it, and that was 20.5 inches. So I was able to match up those dimensions with one that got really good reviews on Lowe's. I actually looked at Home Depot first, didn't see anything, and found one at Lowe's that gets really good reviews, because I want the same size, just because I'm going to be tying into this plumbing right here, and I want to make it as simple and as quick as possible. So I'm just going to be cutting. All of this plumbing is good. It all looks, pretty much brand new. So I'm just going to be cutting it and soldering in new fittings. So we're going to be walking you through all that, and then showing you how to wire it up. So just stick along. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to be going to pick this up now. We'll cut the video and come back when I have the new unit, and we'll walk you through everything step by step. But pretty much we're going to turn the water off on it. We're going to drain the tank. We're going to kill the breaker so that there's no power going to it. And then we're gonna, once the tank is completely empty, we're gonna cut it out. We're gonna remove it. And I don't know about you guys' area, but where I live, you could pretty much like post on Facebook, like a Facebook community page, if people want to come and pick up scrap. So I'm just gonna post on that, and that's how I'm gonna get rid of this big thing. But also when you go to match up this, you wanna make sure you're matching up the correct size, unless you're looking to scale up or scale down. So this is a 50-gallon capacity. And then you just want to make sure that, the one you buy, like I'm going to make sure that it's 4,500 watts, it's 240 volts. So you just want to match up stuff like that to make sure you're not buying one and then having to return it. So I'm going to go pick it up, and then we will, I'll be right back. Okay guys, so we just got back from Lowe's, picked up the hot water heater. And then I got a little, it's like a bin that's 22 inches wide that it's just like a little like holder that the tank's gonna sit in, because I was thinking, and I think I'm going to remove these cinder blocks that it's sitting on and put it down on the ground. I have a feeling that with this kind of hanging off over this lip, that over time it put kind of undue pressure on this. That's what I'm thinking anyway. And maybe that's why it's leaking. So I'm going to set it on the ground and put a tub in there, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So we just got back. The next step is going to be to turn power off to this hot water heater. So you need to find your breaker, and a good little thing to use, if I will put this in the description, this is a non-contact voltage tester, and it detects hot wires. So all you do is you just turn it on, and then this is telling you the wire's hot. So we're gonna go kill the breaker, and then we're going to shut this water off. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we just turned the breaker off. So now we're gonna test it again. Make sure we have no power. Yep, so this wire's dead now. And now we're also going to turn off our cold. This is our cold side and our hot side. Okay, And now the next step is going to be to drain this tank because we need to move it out of the way, and right now it is full of water. So what we're going to do for that is all you do is you hook a garden hose up, or you just drag a garden hose in and hook up your garden hose. It's just a standard size garden hose, and you're just going to hook it up to the bottom. And then put the other end draining into either your floor drain in your basement, or I have mine just going straight outside. And then some of them might have a little valve on it or something, or a little handle. This one just has this little flathead screw that you turn to open it up to drain it out. So we'll open it up and drain it. And you could hear it. So now all this water is going to drain out, and no water is going to fill back up because we have our water shut off. So then we'll go, the next step is going to be, while this is draining, we could unhook this wire. Okay guys, so we have the water drained from the tank. Now the next step is going to be to disconnect this wire, take off this wire connection clamp, and remove these plates, and then unhook all the wires, pull this out, and then also remove this green grounding screw right here. So we'll do all that. Okay, so now we have access to the wires down in here. You can see how grody these all are. So we're just going to undo these wire nuts. Try to give you a better look here. So we'll just untwist these wire nuts. Okay. And now we could pull our wire out. You might have to bend some of these wires to get them to come out. Okay, so now we have our wire free. We have our water off. The next step is going to be to cut and remove these connections right here. Now I'm actually going to reuse these connections. So whoever installed this used Pro Press fittings. You can see these right here. These are Pro Press fittings all through here. So I'm going to leave as much as I can because all I have is solder. So I'm going to be soldering my connections. Not many homeowners have a Pro Press. They're a pretty expensive tool to buy, and I don't do plumbing all that much. So all I have is solder and a torch and flux. So I'm going to probably cut these somewhere right around here and here. And then once I cut them, I'm going to deburr it. So I'll show you that process. And then, so we'll probably cut first, remove these, and then deburr the pipe, and then we're going to remove this and we'll show you the new one, and then we'll show you the new hookup. I'm just going to pretty much just be using a coupling with whatever size piece we need, because we're going to need a longer piece just because our new water tank is going to be sitting down further because we're taking it off of these blocks. So we'll pause the video, come back, and we'll cut these up. Okay guys, so we have our pipe cutting tool. This is made by a company called Easy Arc, and all this does, I'll put a link on where you can buy all this stuff too, so you don't have to be shopping around and trying to find it. It just clamps down, and then you just pretty much rotate it around and then tighten it a little bit more, rotate it, and then it slowly cuts. So what I did, I just made a mark 3 inches up from right here to right here on each one, and that's just so that it's aesthetically pleasing, so the couplings are sitting kind of in the same spot when we go to reinstall the new one. So we'll go ahead and show you this cut. And what you do is you can see how there's a clamp right here, or these wheels. You put the pipe in the middle of these clamps, or in the middle of the wheels, like so. And then you just go around, tighten it a little bit, go around, and they make a smaller one of these for tighter areas. So the link, I believe, when you go to buy these, you'll buy, it's like you get both of them. You get the smaller one, it's like around this big, and then you also get this bigger one. The bigger one cuts faster, that's why I'm using it. Okay, so that's free now. You can hear the water. We'll come over to this side and do our hot. Okay, so now we have our hot off, we have our cold off, and then all we're going to do now is just kind of slide the tank this way a little bit so we can loosen this without it coming up and hitting this pipe. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get a pair of channel locks to remove these. Okay guys, so we have our channel locks here, and again, there'll be links on where you can pick up all this stuff if you don't already have it. And now we're going to loosen these up by twisting them this way. And fair warning, I don't like when people in videos just show everything going seamlessly. I mean, I understand why. No one wants to sit and watch someone struggle. So I did already loosen these a little bit. They were on very, very tight. So we're just going to show you actually removing them. And honestly, I was not going to even reuse these. But when I went to buy new ones, every place I looked at was sold out of these. These are like 3/4 by 1/2 inch couplings with a female end. So I really didn't have a choice because it's Sunday and we need hot water. So there's the one. I'll come over and do the other one. Okay, so there's this one. And just so you guys are aware, I did leave the hose on this water tank. It's been probably about 15 minutes now and it's still draining. And honestly, it was kind of coming out really slow when I first hooked the hose up and opened the valve. But it seems like once I cut these pipes, I don't know if it's allowing air in there and it's draining a lot faster now. So just be mindful of that. Don't think that the tank might be empty. Just leave the hose hooked up to the bottom of it right there, and just let it drain until you don't see any water coming out of it anymore. So that's a little side tip. So the next step is going to be just to finish letting it drain, and then we're just going to pull it out of its spot. I mean, it's pretty light now. These weigh, I think, The one that I bought, it said weighs 125. So they're not, you know, super light, but they're not terribly bad. But when I put this container down, there's like a little containment area that I bought. That I was thinking about how I'm going to lift that up over the containment area alone, and we're just going to have to muscle it in there because I am alone. But we'll cut the video and come back for that part. Okay guys, so you could see we have the old one out. I put it outside. It was drained out pretty much all the way, and I just I closed off that valve, drug it outside, and opened the valve back up and just kind of tipped it up towards the drain and drained out the rest of the stuff, because like I said, I'm going to be calling a guy who comes and picks up scrap stuff in our area so he could get it out of the way, and you know, he gets paid and I get it out of the way for free. So this is the drain pan I was talking about. This is a 24-inch drain pan made by a company called Eastman. So I'll try to find the link, but I got this at Lowe's. I'll try to find a link for something similar, but it comes with this fitting. So we're gonna set the camera up and just kind of show you how this goes in. And this is just in case it ever overflows, so you could drain it out. So you can see it comes with these things. This is a 1-inch fitting, and then this is just a washer with a nut. So all you do, you see that hole right there, you just push it in. And then on the other side, right here, you're just going to go ahead and tighten that nut down. And then you can even just kind of hold one end, hold this nut, and just kind of tighten it as tight as you could get it. Okay. So now we have that installed, and I guess you could put that kind of wherever you want. I'm going to put it over here because the walkway is through here to get to the washer and dryer. So that way that won't be hitting anyone's foot or anything. Okay, so now we're going to get the new one in place. Okay guys, so you can see we got the new water heater in, and it actually wasn't that bad kind of putting it in place, lifting it into that tub. So I'm pretty happy with how it went. And what I did was I just kind of soft set these on here like that after I got it in place, and then just kind of maneuvered it so that it lined up with this piping. Okay, so now we're going to put these fittings on. We're going to put these connections on because I want to know the exact distance when these are tight between here and here. So to do that, we're just going to get some of this OD thread tape, and we're just going to wrap it around each one of these threads, wrap it around about 3 times, and then use our channel locks to tighten down our fittings, and we should be good to go. Okay, so now we have our tape on. We could go ahead and thread these down. And then tighten it with our channel locks. So we will get a section of 1/2-inch copper. So this is a 3/4 inch fitting right here that goes to 1/2-inch copper. And what I actually learned was that this is kind of atypical. Most of them just have 3/4 inch pipe going straight up, and then up in the ceiling somewhere it branches to a 1/2 inch to the rest of your fixtures. But this is what we have. This is what, you know, the plumbing was already here, so we're just tying into it. So what we're going to do is we'll have a coupling here and a coupling here, and then a straight piece here. Coupling here, straight piece. So I'm going to go prep that, and we'll cut the video and be right back. Okay, so we have our couplings here that I just grabbed. So all I'm going to do is just dry fit this. So we're just going to push that down. These are stop couplings. They only go in so far. So we know that's that far. This one, we're gonna have to hold it in place and get our tape measure and then just measure the distance between this indent line and this indent line right here. And we're gonna need a section about 2.5 inches on this one. You can see that, so about 2.5 inches will get us in there. And then on this one, we'll put that in. We'll put this in. And on this, we're gonna need a section about, we could honestly probably go 2 3/4 on each one. We'll go 2.5 on each piece. So we'll get 2 pieces that are 2.5 inches, and then we'll know that our copper is going to fit inside of our fittings nicely. Okay, so we just cut our 2.5 inch pieces, and now what you're going to need to do is, I'm just going to pull this hot water heater out a little bit. Okay, and then you're going to need one of these deburring tools to get all the burrs off the pipe, and then just clean up the actual surface. So this piece, you can see this fits a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch pipe. So we're working on 1/2 inch. So all we're gonna do is just deburr the pipe. You can see how that leaves a nice surface. Okay, then we'll do the same thing here. Now if you're using like something like a shark bite fitting, this is extremely important because there are gaskets inside of shark bites, and if you have any burrs on the pipe and you go to push that fitting in, then you could end up damaging the shark bite and damaging that little gasket and causing premature leaks. So you always want to make sure, especially when you're using shark bites, that you're deburring that pipe. And then we're going to do the same thing with our 2 little 2.5 inch pieces that we just cut. We'll just deburr them. Clean up the outside. And the reason that you clean up the outside is you're going to put flux around here when you go to solder, and you want this surface very clean so that the solder could go into the joint. So I probably won't put any links for like the actual fittings and the stuff like that, just because everyone's situation is going to be a little bit different. But the one thing that will be the same is most of these connections are 3/4 inch. But like I said, you're probably going to have a 3/4 inch pipe coming out. It's not going to go straight to a 1/2 on most people's homes. So you probably won't need to worry. You'll probably just be soldering 3/4 inch pipe or getting 3/4 inch shark bites or whatever you choose. Okay, so we have our fittings cleaned up. Everything's deburred. And now the next step is just going to be to dry fit everything into place, make sure it all fits, and then I'll show you the soldering technique real quick. And now I'm not going to go into depth on soldering. I do have a video up on my channel that goes into depth on how to solder pipe. So be sure to subscribe, check that out. And but I will go over the basics of it real quick. So right now we're just going to dry fit everything, make sure it all fits, make sure we're not going to have any issues. Okay, so that piece fits in. Okay, and then that'll fit in. So now we know everything's dry fit, so we can pull it back out. Okay, so now we're going to go through how to actually solder and what we need. And again, all of these things that you see will be in the video description with links to take you right to it. So this is a fireproof pad. You would use this usually if you're like soldering up against a stud and you don't want the stud to catch on fire. You would hang that. I'm just going to set it here for now. You just need a paintbrush. Any paintbrush will do. Then you're going to need paste flux. Odie makes a lot of this stuff. Odie makes actually most of it. Then you're going to need a lead-free solder that Odie makes. And then finally, you're going to need a torch. So I'll put links on where you can pick up everything. Like I said, try to make this super easy on you guys. But yeah, let me know if you do have any questions, and I will reach out in the comments and I will respond to you. So, all right, so all we're going to do is take our fittings off. So we'll do this side first, and we're just going to take our flux. And we're just going to put it where the fitting is going to actually be in contact with it. You don't need to go absolutely crazy with the flux. And if you have flux that spills over, I'll show you what that looks like. You just wipe it up. And what this flux does is it helps the solder get into the actual joint. So without it, the solder wouldn't go into any of the joints, and you wouldn't have a good connection, and you would most likely have a pipe that leaked. So we'll do this real quick. We'll show it to you, and then on the other side, we'll just do it, but I'm going to speed the video up so you guys aren't, you know, and then you could even do it on the inside of your fittings. But yeah, I'll speed the video up, and then that way, you know, you'll see this one, and then you're not stuck watching the other one in regular speed. I'll put it into a faster speed. Okay. So all we're gonna do is put this down here. Put this in here. Okay. And then we're just going to put this connection on, slide it over. Okay. And then just take a paper towel or a rag and just wipe any of the excess flux. And then what we're going to do, put our flux and our paintbrush away for now. All we're going to do is spool out a piece of this solder, kind of put a little hook on the end of it because we're going to be touching it to this. First, we're going to heat the pipe up, get it good and hot, and then once it takes the solder, you'll see what that all looks like. So we're going to have 4 connections to make. All right, so we'll start our torch up. And this generally takes 20 to 30 seconds to heat the pipe up to the point where it will actually take the solder. to start kind of pushing it in, but it's not going to take it yet. It's just melting that sticker off. And you can see it's starting to take the solder now. So you want to make sure you're getting the solder in there. We could turn the torch off because we have a little bit of time to work here. And you just want to make sure you're getting solder around everything. You don't have any leaks. We might need to heat this back up. Okay, and we can just kind of wipe it up. I am not the expert on soldering either. I know enough to make it so it doesn't leak. Okay, so there's our solder connections. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side on repeat. Okay, so there you go. You can see we have our connections all soldered. I am, like I said, by no means a soldering pro, but the job is done. You know, and you could clean this up and, you know, wire brush it to make it look pretty, but, you know, I'm probably going to be finishing this basement within the next year or so, and I plan on like almost enclosing this off and having like a little access to it. So I don't really care all that much what it looks like. Okay, so now we have our plumbing done. So we're going to go ahead and turn it on. We're going to turn these valves on, and we're going to make sure that we don't have any leaks. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and turn the water on. Okay, so this is the cold water going into the tank and filling it. Now the one thing I will say that we need to be very careful about is the fact that we don't want to hook the electrical up yet. And that's because we want the tank to fill, and then we want to turn a tap on hot. So that's going to suck all the air out of the tank, because there's something that's called dry firing, and it could result in the upper element burning out. So they say that that's a common installation mistake. So we're going to let this fill up, and then we're going to turn on our hot water. We have, you know, you can see right here, we have a little slop sink right here. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on. And what that's doing is that's getting all the air out of it. Okay, so you can see it is still releasing all that air as the tank is filling up. So it says to do that for about 3 full minutes. So we have our hot water on full blast. All the air is getting sucked out of the tank as the cold water is filling this tank. Okay, and now you can see we have water flowing out. Okay guys, so now that we know that we have no air in our system, we could go ahead and hook the electric up. So I just took this connector off of the old plate that I took off, and then we're just going to remove these 2 little bolts, this one just to make it easier on ourselves. And then we'll get this thing wired up. And then they say it takes about an hour for it to heat up, for you to have hot water. So we'll let it heat up, and then we'll check back with you guys, and that'll be the end of the video where we just kind of show you. So this is just the connector going in. Put it like that. And then there's just this little nut on the back. Goes like that. Okay. So that's going to go like that. We could feed our wire in. So I'll kind of try to show you that. This repair honestly wasn't that difficult. I'd rate it on a scale 1 to 10, maybe like a 5. From start to finish, it's probably going to take me about, I would say about 3 hours, and that's including going to actually pick up the picking, and that includes picking up the actual you know, the hot water heater. So we could get this all in place. Okay, so that'll fit like that. And then we know our black's going to go to our black, our red is going to go to our white, and then our ground is going to go into this little grounding screw right here that you see. There's our grounding screw. So we're just going to wrap the bare wire around that, tighten this down, and then just wire nut the red to the white and the black to the black. Now we're just putting the bolts back, or the screws, whatever you want to call them, back on our cover plates. Really probably what I should have done, I mean, this isn't bare wire, but what I should do is actually trim up this wire in here and have this down into the actual clamp. That would be a lot more professional. But for this video, we'll just do it like this just to show you guys, and then we'll turn it on and we will actually wait, see if we get hot water, and then I will let you guys know. So we'll be right back. Okay guys, so we've let it run for about an hour. It should be fully heated up or pretty close. So we're just gonna turn the hot water on and test. Yep. We have hot water now. Now there's only one other thing I wanted to show you before I wrap up this video, and that is this upper and lower thermostat. So we're gonna take this upper cover off real quick, and I just wanna show you what it looks like. So these come preset to 120 degrees, but you could modify that if you want it hotter. But I checked my old one before I took it apart and it was set to 120. So I'm just gonna leave it there. So you can see that's the screw that you would turn, and you can see how it's already set to 120. I'm not sure if the camera's picking that up. And then the bottom is exactly the same. So that's where you would change your thermostat settings. And then to do that, you just kind of slide this cover back in like that, and then just put your screw in. Just dropped it. So that pretty much is going to wrap up this video. Like I said, not crazy difficult. Definitely would have been better with 2 guys, but we made do with one, or we made do with just myself. So if you guys have any questions at all, be sure to reach out in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, be sure to check the product description. I'm going to put links or be sure to check the video description. I'm going to put links, like I said, for everything that you saw in this video. So if you have to change it, you know, you'll have at least have all the tools. You'll have this video to reference, and you know, if you have any questions, you could just reach out. So yeah, guys, that pretty much does it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, check out all my other tool and DIY videos. Yeah, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.